I had aloof apprenticed the button on my barn aperture opener aback, an acrid blare ripped through the quiet morning air. That's my car. He's burglary my car. Someone anxiety 911. The articulation came from beyond the street, Patricia Brennan's voice, and oral seconds. She was aimlessly cutting at her phone, pacing in circles in her ablaze blush bathrobe like a one-woman anxiety system. Her beard was still captivated in curlers, bouncing berserk as she acicular against my driveway, like she had bald-headed an abomination in progress. Her coffee mug flew out of her added hand, splattering a caramel black arc beyond her absolute blooming lawn. My name's David Holloway, and I'm the affectionate of guy who alphabetizes his apparatus arbor and sweeps his barn attic so generally you could about eat banquet off it. I assignment from home as a software consultant, which agency I'm about to attestant every bit of daytime adjacency chaos. And assurance me, RHOA President Patricia Brennan, is anarchy personified. She been ambit my acreage like a militarist anytime aback I outbid her son at an accessible bargain for excellent action 2019 BMW 5 Series. The car was anchored appropriate there in my garage, its brownish dejected acrylic ablaze beneath the ablaze LED strips I installed after most summer. I bought it fair and square. 3 years of saving assuredly rewarded. But anytime aback that BMW came home 2 weeks ago, Patricia had been acting like I'd baseborn the Acme jewels. She started with affected friendliness, assuming up at my aperture one afternoon with a tray of cookies, alike admitting she hadn't accustomed my actuality in 5 years. "Oh, what a coincidence," she said. Banishment a smile that didn't alike try to ability her eyes. I ordered the exact aforementioned model. The banker said it'll be delivered any day now. Afresh came the offers. "You know, if you anytime appetite to advertise that car, I'll pay you absolutely what you paid for it." Every time I affably declined, I told her the truth. I'd been analytic for that specific car for months. I wasn't absolution at go. Patricia didn't booty bounce well. Oral a week, the HOA corruption letters started arriving. First, I was cited for abrogation, my barn aperture accessible for boundless periods, allegedly compromising adjacency security. The aperture had been accessible for 7 account, while I unloaded groceries. Afresh came the abutting one, admonishing about cruddy agent accumulator causing beheld pollution. The car was central my barn with the aperture closed. And afresh the pièce de resistance, a corruption claiming I was breaking Babel ordinances because I'd been affianced in automotive maintenance. The breech blockage annoy pressure, at 27 p.m. On a Saturday, the account grew added antic by the day. I got cited for cogitating surfaces able of blinding motorists. Acceptation, allegedly the sun bouncing off my barn windows. She alike claimed my driveway bare resurfacing due to diminutive oil spots that you'd charge a cumulative bottle to notice. Finally, she proposed a new HOA aphorism, acute all affluence cartage to be registered with the lath for allowance purposes. Funny how that alone activated to homes on my street. Accurately abundance that morning had started like any other. I had a applicant affair downtown, so I effective my attaché and clicked the barn remote. As the aperture creaked upward, absolute the BMW animated barbecue inch by inch. Patricia came beginning out of her advanced aperture like a soap opera villain. "Stop him, he's demography my car," she shrieked, bouncing a assemblage of affidavit over her head. "That's my cast new BMW. It was delivered yesterday. I accept the paperwork appropriate here." I sighed and stepped out of the garage, both easily visible. "Patricia, this is my car. I bought it at a Canton bargain 2 weeks ago. You've apparent me activate about every day since." But she wasn't audition any of it. Her articulation cool as she fed her adventure to the 911 operator. "He afraid my barn aperture opener. He blanket my car appropriate out of my barn in the average of the night and confused it into his. He's allegedly been planning this for months. By now, tears were alive bottomward her cheeks. You'd anticipate she was auditioning for a daytime Emmy. What Patricia didn't apprehend was that I had a parent this coming. After her third artificial corruption notice, I installed high-definition Aegis cameras accoutrement every bend of my property, including the autogenesis of my garage. I additionally kept every atom of affidavit neatly organized. The bargain listing, the cashier's check, the bill of sale, the appellation transfer, alike photos of me acrimonious it up that day. 10 account later, 2 badge cruisers formed up in advance of my house. Admiral Morrison and Detective Walsh stepped out, already attractive like they weren't abiding whether to beam or sigh. Beyond the street, Patricia was in abounding achievement mode, crying, bouncing her arms, insisting I was active an auto theft operation from my garage. She alike claimed I'd been stalking her to acquisition out aback, her cast new car would access, so I could abduct it afore she got the adventitious to drive it. I absolved against the Admiral with calm, accessible hands. Good morning, officers. I accept there's been a misunderstanding. I said evenly. This agent belongs to me, purchased accurately at an accessible auction. I accept all the abstracts appropriate here. I popped accessible the cuff compartment, retrieved my folder, and handed it to Officer Morrison, who began flipping through the pages. Meanwhile, Detective Walsh took Patricia's account as she affiliated to appeal my actual arrest, insisting she had a dealership acceptance email that accepted everything. Patricia triumphantly coiled a printed web folio like it were accurate proof. This proves it's mine, she declared. The affirmation angry out to be annihilation added then a screenshot from BMW online agreement tool. A car architecture folio assuming an agent she had allegedly been designing in her additional time. It wasn't alike an order, aloof adored agreement with a accidental advertence number. I've been cat and mouse for this exact car for weeks, she insisted, her articulation awash with confused confidence. Officer Morrison ran the BMW VAN through his onboard computer, while Patricia kept circuitous about how I'd afraid her emails to acquisition out what archetypal she capital so I could abduct it. Less than 2 account later, the after effects came back. Ma'am, Morrison began carefully, access the awning against her. This agent is registered to David Holloway. It was purchased at an accessible bargain on October 15th and has been accurately registered and insured in his name aback October 17th. There's no annexation report, and this VIN has never been affiliated to you in any system. Patricia's announcement froze. Her aperture opened and bankrupt like a abashed fish, acquisitive for words that wouldn't come. Then, in accurate Patricia fashion, she pivoted to article alike added absurd. Well, she began, straightening her bathrobe and allowance her throat. The HOA has appropriate accoutrement for affiliation acreage reassignment in cases of adjacency assurance concerns. As HOA president, I accept abounding ascendancy to application any agent that poses a blackmail to our affiliation standards, and this car is acutely too adorned for him. He's allegedly complex and article adumbral to allow it. Detective Walsh blinked in disbelief. Ma'am, are you adage your HOA can accurately approach someone's car? Patricia nodded emphatically. It's in our bylaws, Area 47, Annex C. Any acreage inconsistent with affiliation accord can be reassigned by lath vote. I captivated an emergency vote this morning with myself, and it anesthetized unanimously. Walsh and Morrison exchanged a look, allotment amusement, allotment concern, afore the detective batten again, this time with an austere tone. Ma'am, you charge to accept that you've alleged 911 with apocryphal address of auto theft. You've fabricated counterfeit buying claims, and now you're asserting acknowledged admiral you don't absolutely have. These are austere offenses. Patricia's blowing began to crumble, her face drained of color. I'm not lying. I deserve that car added than he does. She shouted, her articulation trembling. Do you alike perceive who I am? I've been admiral of this HOA for 15 years. He's nobody. He aloof sits at home all day assuming to accept a job. She jabbed a afraid feel in my direction, about abashed with fury. Ma'am, Officer Morrison said sharply, that's enough. Making apocryphal bellatress to law administration is a crime. Attempting to use your position to booty someone's acreage is a crime. You charge to appear with us. Patricia's eyes widened. You can't arrest me. I'm the victim here. Analysis his garage. He's allegedly got a dozen base-born cars in there. I kept my accent calm and even. Officers, you're acceptable to check. I accept annihilation to hide. I apprenticed the barn alien and the aperture aerial smoothly. Absolute my spotless space. The BMW aflame beside my old Honda Civic. Every apparatus afraid neatly on the wall. Patricia secular berserk at the Honda. That one stolen too. No one owns two cars unless they're a criminal. That was it for Detective Walsh. Patricia Brennan, you're beneath arrest for filing an apocryphal badge report, attempted fraud and abusage of emergency services. Patricia's jaw dropped. She spun on her heel and approved to bolt back against her house, but her slippers flew off mid-run, and she stumbled beyond the backyard afore Officer Morrison bent her by the arm. By now, at Atomic, 20 neighbors had aggregate outside, filming with their phones. The queen of the HOA was actuality led abroad in handcuffs, her spotless acceptability unraveling appropriate there on her own advanced lawn. This is all a misunderstanding, she shrieked, disturbing as the Admiral apprehended her rights. I'm actuality framed, he's the absolute criminal, someone anxiety my lawyer, anxiety the HOA board. They guided her against the banned car as she askance about to blaze at me. You haven't won, she spat. I'll sue you for everything. You'll never esplanade in this adjacency again. The HOA will ban you. Officer Morrison bankrupt the car door, her articulation deadened as she affiliated shouting. Detective Walsh handed me his card. Mr. Holloway will charge a bounding account after today. You should additionally exceed filing a abstinent adjustment and befitting those HOA corruption letters. They could advice authorize a aggravation pattern. 3 months later, I sat in the abac of attorneys as amends assuredly bent up with Patricia Brennan. The accused had ample up quickly. Filing an apocryphal badge report, attempted admirable annexation auto through counterfeit means, abusage of 911, and bent harassment. But the analysis bald-headed alike more. She had been embezzling HOA funds to accounts her affluence car obsession. Suddenly, her agony for my BMW fabricated absolute sense. The judge's articulation was ascetic and deliberate. Mrs. Brennan, your accomplishments represent a gross corruption of ability and an errant apathy for the law. You weaponized both your HOA position and emergency casework for claimed gain. Patricia stood at the Aegis table dressed in a bourgeois gray clothing instead of her brand pastels. She looked abate now, drained, defeated for filing an apocryphal badge report, attempted fraud, and bent harassment. The adjudicator continued. You are bedeviled to 18 months in prison, 3 years of probation, and ordered to pay $50,000 in amends to Mr. Holloway for amercement and acknowledged fees. You are additionally assuredly barred from confined on any homeowner's affiliation board. The gavel came bottomward with a aciculate alveolate crack. Patricia's knees askance and her advocate had to abiding her as she bankrupt bottomward in tears. This isn't fair, she aside amid sobs, her articulation afraid with disbelief.